Good morning and welcome to the Megacast on 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH, The Biff in Bloomfield Hills, WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio, Civic Center TV, Channel 15 in the West Bloomfield area, Channel 99 on AT&T. And you can tune in to Channel 99 on AT&T all across the Oakland County listening area. Go to Channel 99, pick the West Bloomfield channels, and go in and pick Civic Center TV on the menu, and you'll be able to watch. A lot easier just to go to the web, though. Go to civiccentertv.com. It's civiccentertv.com. Go to our website, and you'll see our live broadcast in the upper right-hand corner of the page. Click on that, maximize that out, and you are all set. So what is the Megacast? Tyler Kieft will be in here joining me in a moment. My name is Dave Scott. We're here each and every day, Monday through Friday, for a couple of hours, live from 10 until 12 noon, to bring you the most recent, critical coronavirus information available to us each and every day. And we find that when we dig into this from a local perspective, looks a little bit different. We get some really honest answers. We watch the national news. We appreciate everything that's going on at the statewide level, and we appreciate everything that's going on at our Detroit television and radio stations, but they don't always have the exact details you need and the very local information you need. So we put that together for you every day on the radio, along with, and of course, on Civic Center TV and our other TV outlets, and do so in a way that we hope is helpful to you. So that's what we have today. We're going to talk to Eric Glick today. He's a lawyer. If you are a tenant and you're having trouble paying your rent here in the Oakland County area, Eric might have some advice for you. On the other side of it, if you are a landlord, what do you do? I mean, this is a double-edged sword right here. You know, you've got the challenges of the landlord. We have the challenges economically that we're all facing. What's going on with that? How do you deal with that? And how do you just execute a legal transaction when everyone is working from home and we're doing everything virtually? Can you just sign something on the internet? So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to talk to an internal medicine specialist and get a medical update today. What should you be doing? What shouldn't you be doing? Are you feeling well? Are you not feeling well? When do you call the hospital? When do you just try to take care of yourself and give it a day or two? We're gonna get more information on that today. A company right here in our area, in fact, in Rochester Hills, a company called Prefix has done a really good job putting together face shields for our hospitals and our first responders. We know that we have been very short on these, as they are called, PPEs. And so one organization right here, one company, has retooled, and they are making face shields. It's not only the really big news, like you see on our coronavirus page today, when you go in and you see in the other media that the auto manufacturers have retooled. And there's a story today, I believe, in here that... I think it's gone away, but it was here earlier, that one of the automotive companies has, set themselves up. I think it was Ford or GM. I think Ford has set themselves up so that they are able to make 30,000 vents. So it's something we really need. Big companies doing their part. Small companies right here in our listening area doing their part. Everybody is doing their part to make it happen. We've had some really interesting guests on the show over the past couple of weeks and past couple of days, and lots of very helpful information like the guests that we're going to have today. But just yesterday in the show, we had Lynn Henning join us. You might know Lynn. He is retired now, but he was a Detroit News beat writer that followed the Detroit Tigers. And when we lost Al Kaline, everyone's heart was broken, really. And Lynn Henning checked in with us yesterday on the show, and Lynn had an opportunity to tell us how baseball brings escape for people from the everyday stresses of life, especially during times like this in the coronavirus disaster.
I always said during spring training, I thought the essence of American innocence and pleasure and peace was a Grapefruit League game at Lakeland, Florida. It was just a sort of an Alice in Wonderland kind of an afternoon. It was It was beautiful. It was upbeat. And that game tends to do that to people, probably because of the weather and certainly because there's just this innate love for this game. It's always been escapism. And if we can get back to that, great.
That was really good to hear Lynn say that yesterday. Talk about springtime and baseball, something we hope that we're going to get to shortly. And also it was great to hear Lynn yesterday talking all about his very fond memories of his good friend and our good friend, Detroit Tiger Al Kaline, number 6, who passed away earlier this week. Also on the show yesterday, we had a chance to check in with one of my friends, Rocky Rishkovsky. You might know him as the Oakland County chairman of the Republican Party, and Rocky's served in many capacities, including serving in the military during 9/11 as a state lawmaker. We had him on the show yesterday talking about what was going on in Lansing, but Rocky also said that there are so many people on the front line that are making a contribution, first responders of all flavors.
We should be thanking everyone. When I go to the grocery store with my mask on and my glasses, I even thank every single worker in those grocery stores for being there, resupplying the shelves, the Army Corps of Engineers, the Army National Guard, the National Guard as a whole, actually, in Michigan, and all of our healthcare professionals, from nurse assistants, from the janitorial staff to the doctors and the ER doctors. They're doing an incredible yeoman's work.
Well said, Rocky. And it was good because, Tyler Kieft's in the studio now, my colleague here at Civic Center TV. And, Tyler, I love it when he and Debbie Dingle go at each other and let it rip on Fox 2 and on the radio. But, right now we're doing the best we can. It ain't easy, but we're doing the very best that we can to keep the partisan stuff on the sidelines and just solve problems. I appreciate him coming on the show yesterday and for the most part, doing a really good job of that.
Yeah, I think that Rocky made it clear that himself and other people on both sides of the aisle are both focused on the same thing right now, and that is solving critical issues creatively and effectively in a way that will help everybody regardless of their political affiliation.
So the big stories today, many of them on our website, a few of them not, but if you dig, you will find them at civiccentertv.com. First of all, GM gets a contract from the federal government to create 30,000 ventilators. And, we're starting to see better news come in from around the country. You might have noticed that, and we'll see if that plays out here in our backyard as well. But I think we're still going to need all these vents. Great to see GM working on that right now as we speak. Yesterday, Tyler, I had to go shopping. So I went to a West Bloomfield, Franklin area grocery store, and I was impressed. Almost everybody in the store, certainly all the employees, and almost everyone in the store was wearing a mask. So, people have done so good at implementing what are the very difficult things that the government has asked us to do, the governor, the county, the president, the national government, everybody in between. But people are doing it, and I saw it yesterday, and I'm sure you're seeing it as well.
Yeah, I've been to the grocery store a couple of times. I've been to other places around town for things that I've needed and my family has needed. And I do see people wearing masks, wearing gloves, being careful with it, with themselves and around others, keeping their distance, and being courteous to most people as well. The only thing that I've really seen that's been concerning, and this is something that was talked about earlier on in the week, I believe, by Chief Flynn, was that people, when they are going to the grocery store and they are using those gloves, they're not disposing of them. They're kind of just tossing them on the ground.
Yeah, well, we saw that reported in the media too, right. And if you do that, you're a slob.
Correct.
Right. And then, but I did. But conversely, because Tyler, I want to, continue to shine the light on what's good. When I went to the store yesterday, I saw a lot of people with gloves and with all the protective gear, and I think that most people did a really good job. You see them get in their car, take the gloves off, wipe down the steering wheel. I mean, I wiped down all my groceries yesterday. I thought, hey, I'm going to do the best I can. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. But at least, at least we are all trying. Other stories are watching. In addition to masks everywhere, I personally been keeping a very close eye on the Paycheck Protection program, the small business program that we hope is going to keep a lot of people employed. We've heard that half of the businesses in our country are small businesses. This $350 billion program to fund small businesses over the next 8 to 10 weeks is going forward. Very complicated to get it moving through the system. And just a couple of updates on that front. First, Mitch McConnell nationally said they're going to go after some more money, and hopefully they can pass that with a voice vote. So if you're standing in line, there might be more money, because I think most of the money is getting close to running out, even if they're not telling us that. Here's the thing. I got a note from Huntington Bank. So, and I'm sure many other people did. So look, they send me a note, Tyler. It's gonna get on the radio, okay? So they sent us a note that said, if you have not already applied, just hold on for a little while, because we can't take any more applications right now. So the days to apply for the very, very beginning, at least for some banks, have come and gone. It might be different at Chase, might be different at the other banks, but at least my bank, big bank, Huntington, they do more SBA loans than anybody, from what I understand. They're full. So it doesn't mean the money's not available. It just means that they can only process these things so quickly. And this is going to be really interesting to see how this all goes. On a more local front and a front that impacts everyone listening today, Tyler, even I know you're going to smile over there. There you go. Yeah. So the $1,200 checks, or more for some, or less for others, they are going to start hitting your bank account next week or so, they say. They're getting close. So that's going to come as great relief to folks.
Yeah, and people absolutely need that at this time, especially those that are unemployed or are on reduced work hours. It's huge. And you talk about what's going on in regards to more small business loans. I think that across the board, small businesses and general civilians like you and I, the focus from the government has been, okay, we took action initially based on how far and how long we thought this was going to go on for. And it's clearly gone on a lot longer than was anticipated, and so they have to take more action.
So we want to say I'm glad you're well to Evrod Cassimy at Channel 4, anchor at Channel 4, got coronavirus, and his story, if you've heard his story, he got it bad. He got it bad, and then he had kids at home, and can you imagine having the coronavirus? You have to go home, your kids are there, and he had to lock himself in his bedroom so his kids wouldn't get any sicker. If you get a chance to hear his story, we salute you, Evrod. We also salute Dr. Mona Hanna Atisha, who I believe is still a West Bloomfield resident and living right in our coverage area, and she is recovering as well. Just a couple of the people that we all know very well, and we wish them the very best in their recovery, and that's only 2 people. There's a zillion more famous, not famous people friends we all have. Ascension, which is St. John's. I always get St. Joe and St. John's hospitals confused. St. John is a hospital out on Grand River, out by the Suburban Showplace, I believe, if I got that right. Or I mixed them up back and forth. I don't know. But Ascension, their parent company, is going to be working with Suburban Showplace and the Army Corps of Engineers and others to get Suburban Showplace all set up. So we have the additional beds that we need in Oakland County as our hospitals are getting to very, very near peak capacity. A TCF Center, they say downtown, will be operational by Friday. That's good news. Suburban Showplace, they're starting to get to work on that. We're trying to get information. Got a couple of calls out to Blair Bowman, who is the owner there, and we'll see if we can get him on the air. I'm trying to get him on the air with you so you can talk to him and hear exactly from him how things are going on out there. Very localized for our West Bloomfield listeners. There's a water main break today of all times. Life goes on Maple Road in between Middlebelt and Orchard Lake. So be aware if you're traveling through that area. There may be some disruption to traffic. Road may be closed. Good news is this is a very small water pipeline from what I understand, and it doesn't really affect too many homes. Last thing people want right now in any of our communities is not to have water. For goodness sakes, right? Or have to boil water on top of everything else. So we'll get more information on that. But I understand from the water folks who I talked to just before we went on the air that shouldn't be that big of a deal. They'll get it fixed up, hopefully, before the day is over. There's another interesting story on our website, Tyler. I'll read through the headlines here and get down to it. But Michigan looks for help in local May elections. So I'm sure we're going to talk to some of our clerks to find out what's going on there and what kind of help they need. And people have time. Maybe they can contribute, turn from a non-essential to an essential employee, get involved in the election.
Yeah, we talked to Debbie Binder previously about the impact that the virus and the pandemic and stay-at-home order is having on local elections. So being able to have more election workers and get that back to some sort of normalcy, especially in this very key year of elections, would be huge.
Debbie Binder, of course, the West Bloomfield Township clerk. Michigan is the third highest number of cases in the U.S. We're right near the top of the list, unfortunately. That story at civiccentertv.com/megacast. Beaumont Troy staff gets a 45-foot thank you sign. Beautiful. One of the many beautiful things going on in our communities. People just like you are doing what they can to say thank you. Remember, when you come up with one of these ideas, try not to get 100 people together to cheer on the nurses, because we still need to comply with all the rules, right, Tyler?
Yeah, and you can thank the nurses, you can thank the first responders in your own way. Now, you may see someone that you know is a nurse, or you may know someone that you have their phone number. Send them a text message, give them a phone call. If you drive by the hospital, give a nice little honk and celebration. But of course, follow the guidelines and stay safe.
All right, there is the Fox 2 story linked from our website, and you can see it on TV right now if you were watching on Civic Center TV. Mike Duggan, mayor of the city of Detroit, says he's getting good data that the curve may be flattening. Great news. I love this story right here. Local doggy daycares are offering free service to first responders. You got your pet, you're a first responder, you gotta deal with that. So there's a local doggy daycare that's there to give you a hand. I've been seeing the buses. We don't buses in all of our communities, but most of them. You either have DOT in Detroit or the other various bus networks around Metro Detroit. Got to be tough if you have to ride the bus, keeping healthy, staying away from each other, keeping your distancing. Now we find out that the Detroit Department of Transportation will be giving protective masks to riders, so that might really help out. Here's the story I wanted to get to, and then we'll go to break. I didn't think about this until we posted this story today, but be careful. And we're going to talk to some folks, probably not today, but tomorrow. Be careful as you're cleaning your house. So I got home last night, cleaned up all the groceries, and I got out all these bleaches and cleaners and everything. And then I'm thinking, do I really want to put that stuff right by all the food that I'm about to eat? Maybe not. As people get creative amid shortages, the Michigan Poison Center issues warnings as cleaning supplies become nearly impossible to find in our stores or online during the coronavirus pandemic. Many of you, Michiganders, Oakland County citizens, are getting creative with spring cleaning solutions. The Michigan Poison Center is issuing an urgent warning to avoid using certain lethal products that you may have in your basement or your garage. So you run out of the wipes and you go into, what else do I have? Maybe you got to be careful with that. Story goes on to say the experts recommend a simple mixture of 5 tablespoons of bleach diluted in a gallon of water. That's it. Just a small amount of bleach, and then you clean things up pretty well. So be careful, Tyler, as you're cleaning up things around the house.
Absolutely, and especially in this time where everything's being disinfected, including your groceries. You have to think about anything that you're putting on your groceries. If you're not washing that off of the food product, off of your produce in particular, you're ingesting that in your body, and bleach is lethal in certain doses. So having a very diluted collection of bleach and water to clean effectively and kill the germs that need to be killed without putting yourself in danger is going to be key. And there's other things that, if you're just cleaning something off because it looks a little bit less than presentable, vinegar and water does a great job.
Is that going to get rid of the coronavirus bacteria, though?
I don't believe it will. And I would think it wouldn't get rid of the coronavirus.
But other than that, it would do a really good job of getting your house clean.
Right. If you're just looking for simple cleanliness, sure, don't go throwing bleach all over the kitchen. But of course, you got to stay safe regardless.
I was amazed yesterday. I actually found toilet paper at the store. I'm all stocked up. I only got, it said just take one pack. It's all I needed for my house with just me there, but there you go. All right, so those are the big stories we have. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're going to take a look at our carryout club today. We'll take you through the whole website. We have a number of guests all standing by. We'll get to them in a couple of minutes. You are the most important guest, though, here on this show. If you have any thoughts, comments, anything you want to share with the community at large, we invite you to call us at any time. Our telephone number is 248-683-2343. I'll do that again a little slower, 248-683-2343. You'll talk to Ryan, and he'll get your information, or if you want to join us on the air, we'll get you on the radio. So thank you for listening. We're going to take a quick break. Dave Scott, Tyler Kieft here at our Civic Center TV and Lakes FM studios in West Bloomfield, and thanking all of our outlets around Oakland County for being with us today. Civic Center TV. Oh, I neglected to thank our Facebook partner for today, the City of Auburn Hills. Has us on the Facebook page. Auburn Hills, we love you. Thank you very much. Big round of applause for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
And I know there's a ton of Facebook followers in Auburn Hills, so we salute you. It was great having your Parks folks on yesterday. And when we asked, they just said yes. So thank you very much. Auburn Hills for being with us on Facebook Live today. Thanks to our radio stations as well. WAHS 89.5, Avondale Community Radio, broadcasting right there from the heart of Auburn Hills. We thank you, Logan, and the whole crew over there. 88.1 WBFH, the Biff, in the Bloomfield, Birmingham area, and 89.3 Lakes FM in West Bloomfield, where we are, and we will be right back.
I know you're concerned about the coronavirus, and we're working hard to combat its spread and keep your family safe. But we need your help, too. Wash your hands often with soap for at least 20 seconds. Avoid touching your face and cough into your sleeve. Replace handshakes with an elbow bump. Avoid large crowds or events, and if you're sick, stay home and call your health provider. Every one of us can make a difference limiting the virus's spread and keeping Michigan healthy.
Hello, I'm Dr. Faust, Medical Director for the Oakland County Health Division. Coronavirus disease 2019, or COVID-19, is a new disease caused by a new respiratory virus named SARS-CoV-2. COVID-19 was first identified in December 2019. There is currently no vaccine to prevent coronavirus disease 2019. The best way to prevent illness is to avoid being exposed to this virus. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially after going to the bathroom, before eating, and after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces using a regular household cleaning spray or wipe. Avoid close contact with people who are sick, and avoid touching your eyes, your nose, your mouth. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue, then throw the tissue in the trash. Finally, stay home when you're sick. For more information about coronavirus disease 2019, go to oakgov.com/health or call 1-800-848-5533.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonay Caldoun. We know that COVID-19 is spreading rapidly across Michigan right now. The most important thing people can do to protect themselves is social distancing. That means unless you are a critical infrastructure worker or going out to get food or medicine for your home, you should be staying at home. Stay home, stay safe, save lives.
The Centers for Disease Control in Oakland County Health Division encourages households to prepare for the possibility of a coronavirus outbreak in their community. Keep extra items in your house for an extended stay at home. Remember any special food items for babies, the elderly, and pets. Keep non-prescription drugs and other health supplies on hand, such as personal medications, at least 1 month's supply, first aid kits, alcohol-based hand sanitizer, at least 60% alcohol, non-mercury thermometer, and get copies and maintain electronic versions of health records. Talk with family members about how they would be cared for if they got sick and what would be needed to care for them in your home. Learn about the plan at your child's school and your workplace. discuss sick leave policies, and/or telework options for workers who become ill. For more information, go to oakgov.com/health or call our Nurse on Call hotline at 1-800-848-5533.
Welcome back to the Megacast. My name is Dave Scott, along with Tyler Kieft in our Lakes FM studios. We thank you for joining us wherever you happen to be and watching on Civic Center TV, Channel 15 and Channel 19 in the West Bloomfield and Lakes area. You can watch on civiccentertv.com and just see it in beautiful high definition. Just go to the player there. We are streaming at lakesfm.com. We are on 3 great radio stations, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH, the Biff, in the Bloomfield, Birmingham area, WAHS 89.5, Avondale Community Radio in Auburn Hills. Their transmitter is right up in the I-75 M59 area. They have the most powerful signal of all of our radio stations. Covers most of a big chunk of Oakland and another big chunk of Macomb County. So we thank all of you for tuning in. And we also thank the City of Auburn Hills, our Facebook partner today. We are streaming live on the City of Auburn Hills Facebook page. So we are here to help you get through this whole coronavirus situation, and keeping things together financially for yourself and your business is a key. Whenever I got to figure out something that involves money, I call this guy, my good friend, John Catoni, who's on the line. John, how are you this morning?
Hey, David. How's it going?
I'm doing great. John, now help me through this. And I always get this wrong. John, you're an enrolled agent with the IRS. Did I say that right? Okay, I said it wrong.
Yeah, actually, you did not say it right. It's enrolled to practice before the IRS.
All right, so you don't have a badge?
No, definitely not.
Okay. So if you get pulled over, if you're on your own then, right?
Yeah, you know what the key to that is? Not get pulled over.
No, you're a good guy. You don't get pulled over anyway. But here's the thing: you're not necessarily a CPA per se, but you are an IRS tax expert, and for that and with that expertise today, you're just a perfect guy to have on the show, because so much of what's going on with coronavirus help from the federal government wraps right into the Department of Treasury. So, do I have all that right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So let's start, first of all, with the news that we're seeing today. And the federal government is getting ready to send out these $1,200 to $2,400 payments. The first round, John, as I understand it, is going to be a payment directly deposited in the account that you e-filed with your taxes. Do I have that right?
Correct. You do. And if, by chance you did not have direct deposit, which a lot of people don't, you're going to have to wait for a check, which is fine, or the IRS is going to set up a portal where you could go in and basically sign in and give your direct deposit information to receive your check direct deposited. And they've changed the rules a little bit on this. They've gone back and forth like anything else. I mean, they threw this stuff together real quick, let's be honest. And we live in a society where they want it now, right? So if, say you're not required to file a tax return, for example, your only income is Social Security income. They changed the rules on that, but they finally finalized these rules. If you're just on Social Security, you do not have to file a tax return. All you have, they will have your direct deposit information, and you will get your payment automatically. So the good news on that is you're not going to, if you don't normally have to file a tax return, you're going to automatically get the $1,200 stimulus payment.
Right. So it's going to be one of three ways. It's going to be it's just going to show up in your account because you filed your taxes the last couple of years, even if you don't have your 2019 file. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if you filed 2018, 19, the IRS knows your account number. You're going to wake up one morning, hopefully pretty soon, and there'll be money in your account. That's option one.
And Dave, the key to that, you got to remember, if by chance you change your bank account, you need to get that information to the IRS, because there's not going to be a whole lot of that, but people change bank accounts, right. And you're going to have to You're going to have to get that updated. So my advice to anybody is, check that IRS website every day to see if there's any changes.
Yeah, it's a go in, and then you can go into their site and you can update your information. If you're going to wait for the paper check, which if the IRS does not have your account information, you're waiting for the paper check, you're going to be waiting for that check a little longer because this is a huge program. This is the whole country. Everyone, essentially, or almost everyone, is getting a check. So to mail out that many checks, it's a huge job. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
You can't even grasp the ginormity of is ginormity a word? Yeah, I think it might be a word, of this whole thing. So,
all right.
And I just ask, I know everybody is anxious, and I don't blame them, but, it might be a good idea just to take a breath and understand that it's coming, but, it's a whole lot to put together.
Well, I appreciate that, John, but at the same time, there are people that need that money to pay their rent, and a lot of people are unemployed, and we can talk about this too, but it's been difficult here in Michigan to get through the unemployment websites at the state of Michigan. They're saying if you're A through Z, you call, or A through C, you call these times and these days, and they got it split up in the alphabet, and I've talked to a lot of folks that it's taken time. So understandably, there are people listening right now that need that money right away, and we can understand them being a little anxious, but...
Oh, absolutely. I'm very anxious. And the thing about the unemployment, they are still, and I just checked this a few minutes ago, they are still expanding their guidelines because now subcontractors are going to be able to file claims. And they're expanding the eligibility for unemployment tremendously. So,
well, and then also the federal government, I know that when I last heard from the governor, and we shifted gears over to your Michigan unemployment, but when I last heard from the governor, the additional $600 that's coming from the federal government to enhance your unemployment checks, that connection has not yet been made unless it happened in the last 24 hours. So there's still a lot of good news that's coming that you might not know about, but it's going to help you. And I think everyone's trying to make this work. Hopefully, we're all going to get through this together.
Right, and I think, for the most part, everybody's going to be understanding, whether it's your landlord, your mortgage company, and, everybody. Nobody's seen this dynamic ever, so we're all in this together.
Well, we're going to talk to a lawyer in a couple of minutes, Eric Glick, who is going to help you navigate those waters if you are running into trouble. But if you're, and I understand landlords, they got to pay their mortgage too, but they're probably getting a break from the lenders. And if your landlord is saying, I need my rent exactly on time, and you're having a tough time, boy, that's too bad. I'll say is that's too bad.
Exactly.
All right, John. So, from the big surprise department, at least for me, and we're going to talk about the payroll protection plan here for businesses, especially small businesses that are listening. But before I get to that, so we've been working on that in my business, and I'll bring it up to date on what I found this week. But before I get to that, I couldn't believe it. I got a note, and John, you know how hard I've been working and talking to you. We've been talking back and forth about all the programs and how the business is going to get through this. And just so people know that are tuning in, I own a business with about 20 employees. So we've been working through all this stuff, and then lo and behold, I get a note from my bank that says the SBA loans that we have, the loan payments don't need to be made for the next 6 months. I had no idea. That's just a whole nother program that was in that whole big $2 trillion package that isn't getting all the notoriety and press coverage. But that's 6 months of loan payments that we don't have to make. And that's huge. It's just another thing that the federal government is helping small businesses get through. And I'm sure it's just not my business. It's every business out there who has an SBA loan.
And this whole thing, you have to give people time to get back on their feet and to like I said, take a breath. And that's what that 6 months does. It's not, it's not like they're going to turn the water faucet back on and everything's going to be okay in a months. So it's going to take some time. So that's what that 6 months is.
Well, it's cool, but it's another thing that as we were working on our plans in our business, I didn't know about. I mean, it's so hard, and even with pros like you to help, it's so hard to keep track of all this.
It's impossible. It's not hard. It's impossible.
John Catoni is on the line with us. He is my IRS specialist, and if you don't have somebody like that and you're running a business, you should find somebody to give you a helping hand. And Catoni's, I mean, he's one of the best, but there's a ton of other people in Oakland and Macomb County that are doing the same thing. So, John, let's talk briefly about the Paycheck Protection Plan. That's been getting big news. It is really probably one of the biggest parts of this $2 trillion package that the government's been talking about as businesses all across the country try to get money to get through a couple of months. And that program, it goes through the government, but you got to apply for it through your local bank. And then that's how it all works. Go ahead.
It's a little bit tricky because there's two main loans. There's the payroll protection loan, and then there's the disaster loan. Now, the payroll protection loan, yes, you do have to apply for that through your lender, but the disaster loan is a little bit different. You can do that straight through SBA.
No, and that's and you know, they did a lot of good programs, and I participated in that, and we took a look at that too. But it's easier for a lot of companies. I'll tell you, just from my opinion, a lot easier if you can make it happen to get that payroll protection program. It keeps your employees in place, and that one is the easiest piece of paperwork I've ever had to file in the history doing anything with the government. It's really cool. Here's the problem, just from the front line. The problem is you got to go through your bank. The banks need to be interacting with the federal government, and that's a little bottleneck because you got everyone in the country and all the banks trying to talk to the federal government. And then I got a note from my bank this morning that said, if you haven't already made the application, just hold on to your horses because we can't even process all the ones we have, and you're going to need to wait a little bit. So if you were Johnny on the spot on Friday, over the weekend, or Monday, good move. And you're probably in better shape. If not, now you're just going to wait in line a little bit. Mitch McConnell said yesterday in the news that the Senate and the House are looking at adding more money to that $350 million that's out there. So that's all good news, and there'll probably be more money. But, you know, I can tell you, John, and most of your clients, I'm sure, in the same boat, that, you know, every day that we have to wait before we get that money puts us closer to going out of business.
Right. And all I can say is, you know, try not to panic because this will start running more smoothly very quickly. It's just that, like I said, this hit all at once. And my best advice to everybody is just to keep getting updated on the official websites and just be patient.
You know, you had a really good piece of advice, and you've got the platform now, so I'm going to let you share it with our audience, and maybe we'll take this somewhere. On the personal checks that we're getting from the government that are going to start to come out over the next week or two, the reality is, John, that not everybody needs that money. There are some people that don't need the money, and a lot of people are going to get it. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, you know, there are, fortunately, in this day and age, there are a good number of people that are still working. Like me, honestly, I didn't really miss a beat what I do. So my thought, and I started thinking about these stimulus checks. Now, what I'm going to do when I get mine, I'm going to donate part of it to charity, to maybe an organization of somebody that really needs it. And if, you know, I know everybody is going to think that they need it or they want it, but all I can ask everybody is just to think seriously about where you're at and where somebody else might be, you know, that's more directly affected. But yeah, I'm affected by this. I have to work out of my house more often, but it's not a tremendous hardship for me. For a lot of people, it is a tremendous hardship, whether they may have had a family member that died, or they might be a nurse that's going to work every day that's at tremendous risk. Mm-hmm. So, you know, even if you just donated 10% of what you're going to get to a worthwhile cause, the problem too is finding a worthwhile cause. That would you can't even imagine how that would help people.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. And, I'm not so sure I'm going to even get one, but I'll tell you what, I'll join with you, John. I will take my 10% of the $1,200, whether I get a check or not. I'll take that and I will donate that to a cause. And you and I, we can work on a cause. And why don't we just see if we can put something together? And maybe, this how things start right now. That's how that whole movement started, John Catoni, with people lining up in front of the hospitals, all lining up. And everybody said, hey, we're just going to stay in our cars and let the doctors and nurses know that that we're behind them. Maybe this little thing that we're talking about here on our radio and TV outlets, maybe somebody else will join on board. John, though, you're not going to advise people if they don't need the money to send it back to the federal government, I hope.
No, not by any means. But
right.
but you kind of nailed it right when we started talking, Dave. That pretty much everybody's going to get one. And it's what you choose to do with it is your own business. But at least put it in your head to maybe give a little bit back to somebody that is because you think about any one person that passed away or got seriously ill from that, they know at least 10 people, and that's 10 people that are directly impacted by this. And it's incredible. I can't even imagine the hardship they're going through.
John Catoni, that's why you're my friend. You're a good guy. Great thoughts. I appreciate you coming on the show today, sharing the useful information. We'll keep in touch, and let's see if we can organize something. When we get off the air, we'll talk today and see if we can organize some kind of a structure for people that decide that they do want to donate the money. What a beautiful thought during Easter and Passover week to help out our neighbors. So well said. Anything else that might be helpful to people before we run along?
Again, I can't stress enough if your bank account has changed. Because if you do nothing, they're going to send it, but maybe you close your account. If you do nothing, they're going to send that to the wrong account or maybe a closed account, and then it's going to bounce back, and then you're going to have to wait a really long time to get a check. So if since you filed your last tax return, if your bank account has changed, by all means, keep checking that IRS website for that portal so you can update your banking information.
All right, John. Do you want to give out a website or a telephone number if anyone wants to call you up and get a little bit of your help?
That is 586-563-7587.
There you go. John Catoni, thank you, my friend. Good talking to you.
Thank you. Great talking to you, Dave.
All right. Great advice. Tyler, he's a sharp guy. And you know what? He's so right about making that donation. I love that idea.
It's a fantastic idea, and it's heartwarming to continue to interact with people through this show and just see all across the country and all across the world people doing their part to make a difference for people in need and people who are having hard times during this on top of just the situation. So it takes one person to start something profound and great, something like what John's doing. With his potential stimulus check, something like what Cynthia Kahn, another person we talked to from Refuge for Nations, is doing, making masks and donating masks from her business, and people like Cindy Hill and the Rotary Club of West Bloomfield and their efforts. It takes one person to start something great to help other people.
No, and that's what's so much so rewarding about doing this, because we run into and stumble into a story every day as somebody doing something amazing. All right, so we're going to take a break. When we get back, I believe we are going to connect with Eric Glick. He is with the Glick Law Firm in Bingham Farms, and we're going to talk about a bunch of legal accountants and lawyers. What an exciting hour of radio, Tyler. This is all important stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, it definitely is.
All right, so stick around. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a minute. You are listening to and watching the Megacast, watching on Civic Center TV, civiccentertv.com on the web, and listening on our great radio stations, 89.3 Lakes FM in the West Bloomfield area, 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, and Ron's wonderful radio station in Bloomfield Hills, transmitting from Bloomfield Hills High School, covering a big swath of our Oakland County area, and WAHS 89.5, Avondale Community Radio, broadcasting from Avondale High School with 2,500 watts, a lot more than any of the rest of us have, and covering more territory than any high school radio station should be allowed to. So we are so happy that Logan and the crew at Avondale High School are supporting our broadcast. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonae Caldoun. We know that COVID-19 is spreading rapidly across Michigan right now. The most important thing people can do to protect themselves is social distancing. That means unless you are a critical infrastructure worker or going out to get food or medicine for your home, you should be staying at home. Stay home, stay safe, save lives.
Welcome back to the Megacast on 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH. I might need our next guest to represent me because we don't have a delay unit here. I'm very sorry about that. He is attorney. He's cracking up too. He is attorney Eric Glick of the Glick Law Firm in Bingham Farms. And I'll tell you what, other than that little slip up, it's been a really, it's not been the most exciting hour, but massively informative. I got a money guy and I got a lawyer on radio. I don't know that this is good for big ratings, but we really appreciate, Eric, you being with us today, and thank you for joining us on the Megacast.
Yes, it's my pleasure. It's some good information. I was listening in, and that information about loans and grants, it's really critical right now. There's a lot of businesses that are struggling and hurting, obviously.
Well, no question about it. You specialize in you specialize in estate planning. I got to hit a couple of buttons here while I try to read at the same time. You specialize in estate planning. You specialize in asset protection, probate court representation. So when people pass away, of course, that's a big issue there. Civil and commercial litigation and a whole lot more. You work from your office in Bingham Farms from the Glick Law Firm.
Ordinarily, I do.
Yeah, as normally. Where are you today, Eric?
I am in my dining room, and this is somewhere in the house has been where I've been operating for a few weeks now. And I got to tell you, it's this COVID has been hitting me from several angles. I mean, number one, I do a lot of litigation work and estate planning work, and as you probably are aware, except for emergencies, the courts are closed. Some courts are actually processing paperwork. They've got staff, but they're not allowing people in unless there's emergencies. Some courts are closed down altogether, so that's affecting business. And then, on the estate planning side, as you can imagine, trying to get to the point where you're signing documents and having meetings with clients, it's not possible anymore.
So what do you do? Well, I mean, how do you manage these times? I mean, we're using in our municipal meetings, we are using tools like Zoom, and we've had to change the laws a little bit to make that happen, to comply with the Open Meetings Act. Is there legislation needed to allow us to operate digitally in the legal space?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like many of your viewers, like myself, you sign contracts all the time with the auto repair shop, with your painter, with your contractor, with DocuSign and things like that. And even with refinancing of a home, there's virtual closings where you can do it online. But unfortunately, even though that technology exists, the law in Michigan governing some estate plan documents require that documents not only be witnessed, but witnessed in the presence of a notary or in the presence of witnesses. And so, right now, the state bar, the estate and protected, the estate and probate section of the State Bar of Michigan is trying to get legislation passed or a new order changing the rules to allow remote signings. But right now, a lot of people are just being put on hold, and we're pushing things back to May. Hopefully things can happen then. Maybe it'll have to be pushed back later. Some things don't require witnesses. We don't need witnesses for wills. We can even have holographic wills, meaning wills that are handwritten. So wills can be executed now. Trusts don't need to be witnessed technically, but it's a good idea to have them witnessed and notarized, but they don't have to be. So we're still doing trust amendments, and we can mail out documents, and some people can get them witnessed on their own. Maybe some banks are still open by appointment, but powers of attorney and patient advocate designations, those are required to be witnessed in the presence of witnesses. So that's a big problem.
Well, and especially right now, I mean, with people having health issues and so many people going into the hospital with life-threatening disease right now, being able to create a power of attorney so you can make decisions on behalf of your loved ones, it couldn't be more critical right now. And so what do you advise people to do? Is it just full steam ahead and hopefully we're going to clean it up later? Is it wait? Do we just got to knock down the governor's door in our legislature to do something about this right away? What's the plan?
We are knocking on the door. The more people that are knocking, the better that's going to be. In terms of the documents, if you don't have them already, it's going to be difficult to sign them if you're already in an institution, in a hospital. Sometimes we're sending along documents as estate planning attorneys to the client. We can't witness them remotely, but maybe they have witnesses. Maybe someone can witness for them, or maybe at least their intent will be honored if they're taken to a hospital. Another problem is the hospitals are letting in patients, but they're not letting in family members. I've had cases where someone was admitted, to a healthcare facility, and the family was of the opinion that this person could not make informed treatment decisions, just didn't have the mental capacity to do it, but they wouldn't let him in. They came down, they're showing papers, pushing him against the window, but they wouldn't let him in.
Well, and Eric Glick, attorney Eric Glick from the Glick Law Firm in Bingham Farms, you can understand, though. I mean, the doctors and nurses in hospitals, they, I wouldn't want to go into one right now if I didn't have to either. But they have to deal with what they have to deal with. Just a complex situation. There's no easy answer.
Absolutely. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying that's the situation that we're living in now. Is that it's difficult to have decisions made, and it's especially difficult if you haven't done a patient advocate designation or a HIPAA authorization allowing the hospital workers to communicate with the family members, because they're not being let into the building, and it makes it that much more difficult.
So let me ask you this one more time, and you probably answered it, but I don't know that I listened. So let me try. It's hard to listen to lawyers. It gets so complicated. Let me try this one more time. Can't you just do this stuff, do the best you can, maybe have a witness on a cell phone or something, proceed with what you need to take care of the people that we need to take care of and get the things done? And can't, aren't judges and others that are going to need to verify these documents down the road, can't there be some rational understanding that because of the coronavirus we couldn't execute these documents the way they should have been, but they should be at least to some level in standing, or is that just too informal?
Well, no, that's the expectation. For those people that can wait for the laws to change or for the stay home, stay safe order to be lifted, then they're going to wait. But for the people that can't wait, we're doing exactly what you're describing. Either we're providing documents that don't need to be witnessed or notarized, or we're giving instructions on how to do that. But for the documents that do, for powers of attorney, for patient advocate designations, if someone needs them, we're doing exactly what you're describing. We'll do the best we can under the circumstances. And if they're ever challenged, if anything happens, if we don't get around to signing them the proper way, hopefully the intent is going to be honored.
Well, we certainly would hope that. But, the whole legal world, that's another world. And, somebody gets the hair up in the back of their neck and they don't like some deal. And then, the first thing that's going to happen is, well, you didn't have the right paperwork and, this and that. But hopefully during this time of crisis, we are at war, after all. We can all come together and get through these things. Eric Glick Law Firm in Bingham Farms. What other wisdom can you share with our people in West Bloomfield and Birmingham and Bloomfield Hills and Auburn Hills and Troy and all across Oakland County, with all the knowledge that you must have as a lawyer? What are the things that people have to be watching out for right now?
Well, people just need to be safe and not do things that are unnecessary. Again, if with estate planning, with these documents, if we can wait for things to be done on safely, that's the way to go, because a lot of times it's not only the clients that want to be safe, the attorneys want to be safe as well. Some attorneys I talk to are glad that legal services weren't included in what's an essential business, because they don't want to interact. They want to stay safe as well. So the thing is, it's like you've been saying, the theme for today is don't panic. We'll hopefully get through this, and we'll get the documents done on an emergency basis if we need to. If not, we'll get them done when things clear up. The other thing, though, that's a new development that I wanted to share with you is, there were some rules initially with the governor's orders, and that really prevented or was interpreted to prevent family members from coming into hospitals like we've been talking about. The order, I think it was 2020-37, now says that hospitals must prohibit certain people from going into the hospitals or facilities, assisted livings and things like that. But they don't have to exclude people if a family member is on hospice. Now, again, I'm not commenting on a certain facility's procedures. They might want to exclude people even though they don't have to. But now if you're a family member and you really need to come in and see someone who's not doing well, who's on hospice, who might be about to die, and you want to have some time with them, the law does allow you to talk with the hospital and point out to them that you're allowed to come in, and maybe you can work together to make that happen as safely as possible.
You better get one of those masks, and you better, go in and take care of yourself too, because, whether you can and whether you should might be a different story. But I empathize for families that want an opportunity to see their loved ones. I totally get it. So no value judgment here. If I was in that situation, I probably would be calling you up, Eric, and saying, hey, what can you do to clear the path so I can go in and see mom or dad? This might be the last opportunity. I get it. Tough. It's tough times, tough decisions. If people do need help, if they're running into an obstacle and they do need help, can you and other lawyers help them get that access if they absolutely feel they need it and they're not getting it?
We can absolutely do our best. And we know the avenues to pursue, which is what lawyers do.
All right. Eric, thank you. It looks like you're healthy. I hope your two teenage children are helpful. And are they helping you work on your briefs right now and the other legal work you're doing? Or are they just enjoying their?
One of them is is in debate. I think he's practicing to be a lawyer.
Good.
His debate camp for this summer at Georgetown University was canceled. And you'd think he'd want to help with the legal work, but he just doesn't. He's on his video games.
All right. Well, I understand that. Thank you very much for being with us. We really appreciate it, and very
pleasure.
helpful
Thanks
information. Good to have you here, and we will keep in touch. If you run into anything else that you think might be helpful to our listeners and viewers, please give us a call, and we'll get you right back. Okay?
I will. Thank you.
He is Eric Glick of the Glick Law Firm in Bingham Farms, right in our Oakland County service area. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here on Civic Center TV, Channel 15, Channel 99 on AT&T. You don't need to be in West Bloomfield to watch us on Channel 99. If you have AT&T, go to AT&T, and they can take care of all that right there. Also, we want to thank our radio stations, 89.3 WBLD, Orchard Lake, West Bloomfield, Keagle Harbor, Sylvan Lake, 88.1 WBFH, Bloomfield Hills, and 89.5 WAHS, Auburn Hills. And we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with more of the Megacast in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Dr. Faust, the Medical Director for the Oakland County Health Division. The most important thing you can do to prevent the spread of illness is to wash your hands thoroughly and often. Follow these 6 easy steps every time you wash your hands. Step 1, turn on the sink and wet your hands with warm water. Step 2, apply soap to your hands and lather between your fingers, under your nails, and the front and back of your hands and wrists. Step 3, wash your hands by scrubbing them together for at least 20 seconds. Step 4, rinse your hands with warm, clean water. And step 5, dry your hands with a clean cloth towel, a paper towel, or hot air blow dryer. If you're using a cloth towel, make sure to change it often. For handheld faucets, turn off the water using a paper towel instead of your bare hand. Step 6, if you're using a paper towel, throw it away. Practice healthy habits like washing your hands after coughing or sneezing into them to keep you and others healthy. Go to oakgov.com/health or call Nurse on Call at 1-800-848-5533 to learn more.
And welcome back to the Megacast on Civic Center TV, Channel 15, Channel 99 on AT&T. You can watch us at civiccentertv.com. Hey, just a huge thank you to the City of Auburn Hills, who has our broadcast today on the Facebook Live portion of their Facebook page. We are streaming live on Facebook, and the thousands of people that are tuning into Facebook every day today via the City of Auburn Hills Facebook page. Thank you very much. Thanks to our great radio stations, too. 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH The Biff, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio, covering huge chunks of Oakland and a big chunk of Macomb County as well. And it's TV and radio. We're in the radio studios. For those of you that are checking us out on the TV side, you can see him via Zoom. Joining us now is Dr. Jamie Taweel. And Dr. Taweel, thank you very much for joining us today on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here. So we've been talking about everything except medicine, so I'm glad you're here. You're an internal medicine specialist, so you probably, like every medical person, has been learning an awful lot or exercising your skills on the respiratory side.
Yeah, I mean, waking up to just tons and tons of emails, different things that are changing, everything that's new that's coming out. We're getting constant information as on the daily, and I described it as working on a car as it's driving down the freeway almost,
Dr. Taweel, could you just start? I mean, I have a million questions for you, but before I roll into them, what's on your mind? What do you know the answers? You know the questions that I haven't even asked yet. Starting at the top of the list, what do you think people really need to know about the coronavirus as it impacts their health?
Well, I think, we're finding out that it's impacting everyone in different ways. So you're getting a lot of people that are just getting a pretty mild flu, all the way to the spectrum of people that are obviously on ventilators that are requiring a lot of things. This is a pretty significant disease that's impacting people differently. I think this is bringing a lot of attention now to people's, comorbidities. So I think people are starting to realize that, you got to get your diabetes under better control. You need to quit smoking. You need to do a lot of very important things for your health to basically reduce your risk for something like this to impact you as severely as it has. So, I think it's if anything positive can be gleaned out of this from a medical standpoint, I think it's just really increasing awareness that people need to be a little bit more vigilant about their health overall.
Well, no question about it. The communities that have been more affected, elderly people with that you've already said it, diabetics, high blood pressure, all the other things, they're the ones that have to be really careful. I can tell you, 61-year-old guy, a little overweight. I've been so good about my diet the last couple of weeks. It's been a lot easier looking at your mortality in the mirror. That's a wake up call for all of us. A really good point.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the coronavirus itself. You're absolutely right. I kind of believe, that there's probably a bunch of us walking around. We use the term asymptomatic. Probably a bunch of people walking around with the coronavirus that their symptoms are so minor or just not present at all that they're probably walking around with the disease. What do you think?
Well, absolutely. Forgive me for just touching my face. I washed my hands.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do know that you can have this before you even begin to show symptoms for up to 2 weeks and to be able to transmit that. So, despite the fact that you may feel good and that people around you don't exhibit any obvious symptoms, you still have to consider the fact that they may be carrying that or you may be carrying that. Universal precautions is always going to be important.
Where do you weigh in on the face mask issue? We had the CDC now has changed their position a little bit. We're not going to get political. If you don't want to offer an opinion on this stuff, I get it. But, I was in the store yesterday. Almost everybody has adopted the face masks.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Certainly, I think it's a good thing for I'm going to defer. I'm not going to have a relatively strong opinion one way or the other. I'm going to defer to the CDC recommendations as always. And I do think face masks are definitely going to be helpful. The degree of helpfulness I'm not quite aware of, but I wouldn't take a risk. I mean, if it's easy for you to wear a face mask and reduce risk by even 1%, I think that's a risk worth taking. So
I'll tell you the one thing I saw yesterday, and I just got downright mad. Maybe there's a good reason for it, but I saw somebody at my local grocery store who did not look like they were a medical professional wearing an N95. And I was like, well, are you kidding me? You should give that to somebody that really needs a darn thing, right? Go buy yourself a bandana.
those paint masks from back in the day, they're not wearing them properly.
Yeah.
I mean, N95s need to be fitted to you. The beard actually that I have right now makes it difficult for an N95. It has to be fitted differently. So yeah, if you're going to wear those masks, if you have them, obviously donate them. I'm getting calls from local areas to try and get masks that I may have that are extra and I'm completely out. It's getting difficult. So if you have them, donate them. And if you have an old paint mask lying around, at least do the research to make sure you're wearing it appropriately.
Dr. Jamie Taweel is on the line with us. He's an internal medicine specialist joining us, giving us some local help, local thoughts here on the Megacast. I'm Dave Scott along with Tyler Kieft. We thank you very much for joining us today. So, Doctor, I had somebody that I talked to the other day, a potential guest in the show. They said, hey, they couldn't come on the air because they just broken their collarbones. I said, well, are you okay? He said, yeah, I'm okay, but I can't go to the hospital. Would somebody normally go see their physician if they broke their collarbone? And are there a lot of things that right now we're not getting in front of medical professionals because of what's going on?
Well, absolutely. There's a lot of procedures that if anything can be held off, it's going to be. A collarbone repair, unfortunately, is tough to deal with. It can be, if it's a surgical fix, may get pushed down the line a little bit if it's non-emergent, because you're not going to want to use those ventilators. You're going to, obviously, the need for ventilators is going to supersede a surgery that may be pushed a little bit further down the road. So you're seeing a lot of that. I know in my practice specifically, we're trying to limit the amount of patients that are coming through. We're doing a lot of telemedicine phone calls. I'm doing a lot of these Zoom meetings with patients to try and get them refills on their medications, address their concerns, and of course to screen them to see if they meet criteria in order to go and have testing for COVID-19 as well. So we're trying to do the best we can. Things that can be pushed a little bit further down the road are going to be, obviously. And just like getting, taxes pushed a little bit further down and getting the courts closed. These are things that are, while essential in healthcare, they're not going to be immediate, emergent needs. So.
And Doctor, do you have any advice? I mean, we've gone back and forth with those of us on the show. We're all healthy. We are all at the very least asymptomatic. No one is getting anybody else sick. We've really isolated ourselves to ourselves, and we all live alone, so it's been working out pretty good. But I had a couple of moments, and some of the other folks had a couple of moments. We woke up with a little fever one day, and it's like, well, should I or shouldn't I? Do I call? Do I not call? What are your thoughts for people that aren't quite sure what to do?
I find people tend to fall into one of two categories. The people that don't give it enough attention and tend to blow it off versus the other that give every little sniffle the most attention, and neither side is particularly bad, more or less just ill-informed, I think. But what I think the best route to take is there's never a problem to just bounce it off a medical professional. You have physicians that are doing telemedicine calls. My practice specifically, you can call the office. I still have the phones open. I'm still answering online questions. I'm still doing telemedicine calls. There's never going to be a problem with getting someone's opinion. The advice that I'm giving, pretty much the standard advice is to assume nothing. If you're having any type of difficulties, if you're having a fever, you're not feeling well, tickle in the throat, dry cough, things like that, you have to raise the possibility that you might have coronavirus, COVID-19. If that is the case, typically, unless you're having any difficulty breathing, the sensation that you're suffocating and you cannot catch your breath, if that becomes an issue, then you need to go to the emergency room because that's something you can't really sit on. But if you're just feeling, mild symptoms, I have a sore throat, a little bit of a cough, nothing's too significant, I would advise you to do a stay-at-home order to at least 2 weeks, at least until your fevers break for no less than 72 hours, and try to avoid passing this on. And hopefully this will be a mild case that most people will be able to get through.
All right, here's a crazy question. What do you think about Sanjay Gupta? I watch him on TV. He seems to have pretty good information most of the time. Seems to be and maybe some of the other doctors that we're seeing on television and during these broadcasts. I like Gupta even more. And I heard last night he's a Michigander. I didn't know that.
I grew up in Novi.
Yeah, he did. We got to try and chase him down. He's a local boy. I think he's doing a pretty good job. And now, since I saw him on TV showing how to wash your hands, I'm always doing the Sanjay Gupta hand wash.
Absolutely.
Any thoughts about the media doctors that we're seeing on TV?
I think the media doctors are doing well. I think they're doing what the best that they can, given the barrage of information that we're getting. Again, we're getting data thrown at us daily, and it's very tough to be able to discern who, we're getting it from multiple organizations, the CDC, the WHO, the AMA, everything keeps coming at us. And I think what the doctors on the media are doing are basically, they're generalizing a lot of it. Of course, in an outbreak, you're going to want to maintain social distancing. You're going to wash your hands. And if media personalities that are television, media personalities that are physicians are going to give you advice like that, that's fantastic. There's always going to be outliers. There are people that are going to tout theories and things that are unproven. Just make sure that you're able to do your own research to make sure that if they are suggesting cures or suggesting any type of treatment protocols that aren't basic, to do a little bit of research, ask your doctor. That's what we're here for.
Right, but doctors and patients can make their own decisions too, and certainly with the what's the drug that everyone's been talking about? I can't keep these multi-syllable.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Thank you, Tyler. You got that whole controversy, and you can weigh in on that if you want. But I think if I get in a situation, I want to be able to talk to my doctor about my personal situation, my personal risks, and be able to make our own decision for my situation. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I tell patients all the time, you may not know the medicine aspect of it, but what you do know is yourself. You know how you're feeling, how your symptoms are, how you're experiencing things. And that is significant. And that helps me do my job. The more information you give me, the better it is for me to be able to make decisions that are relevant to you. So certainly everyone's entitled to, I encourage you to ask your physicians to make sure that you're getting your questions answered. And that's another big thing. If a physician's being dismissive to your concerns, you need to raise that concern. You never want to not have your questions answered. It's what you're.
Yeah. The only thing I'm mad at my doctor about is I walked in there and said, Dave, you do know you're morbidly obese. There's got to be a nicer way to say it. Isn't there a nicer way to say that? Because,
there's absolutely no nice way to say that someone needs to lose a little bit. Absolutely.
Dr. Taweel, anything else you want to share with our audience? And we're going to zip along here if not.
No, stay safe out there. And thank you for having me on. If there's any questions I can answer, feel free to call me again at any time.
Can we keep in touch? Because I really appreciate your advice. And, maybe we'll turn you into another Dr. Sanjay Gupta here on our little broadcast. You did a great job today. All right.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. He is one of our great local doctors, Dr. Jamie Taweel, and an internal medicine specialist, checking in with us via Zoom. Now, helping the docs right here in our area are all kinds of people, all kinds of companies are stepping up and doing amazing things. One of the great stories is a company called Prefix. And Prefix is a Rochester Hills company that focuses on concept vehicles, prototypes, and design mock-ups. And they've gone out of their zone to manufacture healthcare face shields. And Tyler, we've been hearing like crazy how we need PPE or PPD. And how the hospitals are running really short on supplies right now.
Yes, and it's amazing to see these companies that are transitioning to make those supplies for medical professionals and even other ones that are making similar supplies, particularly cloth face masks for civilians like you and I, because like Dr. Taweel said, those N95 masks, those medical grade PPE, which is on our COVID-19 vocabulary, should be reserved for the medical professionals on the front lines because they are the ones that need that to treat other people, to help us get out of the woods on this horrible crisis.
Well, again, this company is doing a great thing. They're in Rochester Hills. They're called Prefix, and joining us now is their CEO, Kim Zeile. Kim, thank you very much for joining us here on the Megacast.
You're very welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
So I'll let you tell the story. I teased it. And we call that a tease in the biz. Why don't you tell us, just take us through the whole thing. Clearly you're doing a great thing, but take us through from beginning to the process to where you're at right now.
Well, we were approached by a very close friend of mine who happens to be an executive with within the Beaumont family of companies regarding helping out on some of the personal protection devices and specifically on face masks. She was aware that we have a complete trim department here for doing our concept vehicles. and thought perhaps we could help out. So we ramped up and immediately put our sewers to work on sewing face masks, when in fact the Beaumont Emergency Operations Center contacted us and said that face shields were even in higher demand, and sent me a picture, kind of a cartoon of what a face shield was. So we looked at that and rallied the troops around manufacturing face shields, quickly put together a die to stamp out the plastic, organized operation out of New York, as a matter of fact, to supply the plastic, and went out and acquired all the elastic and foam that was necessary, and went into an operation to hand assemble face shields. And we've been doing that since a week and a half ago, and manufacture somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 face shields a day.
Isn't that incredible? Are they staying here in Michigan? You mentioned the Beaumont system. You had some relationships with people there. Are they staying in Michigan, or are you shipping them around the rest of the country?
We aren't certain where they're going. We drop off at the Beaumont Distribution Center, and we also were requested by Homeland Security. So we are also sending a large order to Homeland Security. And where they distribute, I believe they're all local, because when Homeland called us, they were really, really excited that we were a local company here in Michigan, supporting Michigan law enforcement, Michigan Fire. So we believe that all of them are staying locally, yes.
Kim Zeile, he's the CEO of Prefix in Rochester Hills. They're making face shields right here in Michigan, 4,000 a day. That's huge. Are these being used in hospitals by medical practitioners? Or are we seeing EMS people using them and use them in a wide variety of applications?
I know that we have supplied them to the local law enforcement, sheriff, and local police departments, local fire departments, as well as the hospital, the Beaumont Hospital system. I'm not sure if we've shipped almost 30,000 to Beaumont, and I'm not certain if that's just for Beaumont or if they've sent it to affiliates. I can't answer that. We supply a distribution center, and they take them from there.
Mr. Zeile, it's amazing, because it sounds to me like you've been doing more custom work, working on concept vehicles and not mass production in your shop. So to me, if I got that right, this is a big change for your company.
This is an enormous change. Our entire business, I've been at it 40 years. I started it 40 years ago last year. And our entire business is based on building one or two of something.
Yeah, Kim, I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to meet you, because you totally, and it's not you, it's just you. It is you, but it's also your leadership, but also the fine work of all of your employees to totally embrace entrepreneurship during this big challenge and say, you know what? Change is hard. We're going to do something different. And if you had this skill, can you change that and work on this? And I'm sure that's what you had to do when you went to talk to your team, your staff, your crew about making these shields.
Yeah, it was really an interesting day that I came to them and I said, look, Beaumont needs 20,000 shields. Let's rally and do what we have to do. And I practically had to push people away because they wanted to volunteer to help in order to participate in the solution and not just commiserate about the problem.
Well,
I couldn't be more proud of the team here at Prefix.
Well, I want to come out and meet everybody after we get we'll bring a video camera out and do a story once we can get out back in public and it's safe and the governor says it's okay to do it. But I appreciate you taking time today. It's a great story. Are you keeping all of your employees that you had engaged in this? Have you had to bring more people in? How's that going?
We have brought in some outside volunteers, friends of mine that also wanted to participate. We have 263 total people, so not everybody has participated. Some feel that it's more important to stay healthy and stay at home, and I fully respect and honor that. But we have approximately 25 or 30 people every day come in and volunteer to be a part of building face shields and contributing to the solution.
Well, you're doing a great job. You're making all of us proud here in Oakland County. We're all together in this thing, and I imagine some of those face shields that you're making at Prefix in Rochester Hills are saving lives of people, and will save the lives of people listening to this broadcast today. So good work. Bravo.
Well, thank you very much.
Please extend our congratulations to your whole team. We look forward to meeting you, and if there's anything we can do to help, let us know. If you need to get a message out to anybody, let us know. By the way, we had a great story in Oakland County, too, where there's another organization down in Muncie, Indiana, who is doing something similar to you. They had to get some shields up here, and a bunch of my friends in the pilot community flew down with our little planes and got some stuff. So if you need anything flown around, there's a lot of volunteers there, too.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We have to stick together. That's how we're going to get through this.
All right, are you healthy and everybody doing okay?
Yeah, we've only had 2 people that tested positive here of 263. So we're hoping that it stays that low.
All right. Well, let's all hope it gets back to normal, and it will soon.
Yeah,
but until then,
it will.
I know it will. I appreciate your confidence. Nice to meet you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the time.
He is Kim Zeile from Prefix in Rochester Hills. Tyler, great story.
Yeah, and another great story of local people and local companies that are transitioning and are changing their lives and their professional actions to help other people that are in need. And in the case of Prefix, they are transitioning to help the medical community properly treat people with their own protections, because we need to keep the nurses, we need to keep the doctors and the PAs and everyone on the front lines in the hospitals and in the medical community safe, so that they can continue to treat people, because people are still getting sick from this and they're going to continue to get sick.
They are. It's the danger is not going to end even when we do flatten the curve. Checking in a couple of minutes will be Curt Lawson. He is the Deputy Police Chief and Public Information Officer in West Bloomfield Township. He'll be checking in via Zoom. We welcome your phone calls at 248-683-2343. If you have any questions or comments during today's show, we welcome you. If you just caught the end of that interview and you want to hear the whole thing, you can go to our website. You can hear that and all the other interviews we've engaged in so far today and over the past 15 days. We've been doing the show 15 days now. You can go to civiccentertv.com and find the archives. Is an archive of the entire Megacast, an archive of each interview, and then selected quotable moments from our guests. So that's all there, along with our complete coronavirus page with a ton of information, links to all of our local communities, and a whole lot more. You want to get the latest word from the CDC. You want to find out what's going on in your community. If you live in Troy or Auburn Hills or Bloomfield Township or Birmingham or West Bloomfield or Keego Harbor, wherever, there's a link to almost all of our communities there with all their local information and a whole lot more. So we invite you to go to civiccentertv.com during the entire crisis, and we will have information for you. It looks like Curt Lawson is ready early. I see him smile, so I'm just gonna hit a couple of buttons here and say hello to our good friend. He is the Chief Information Officer and the Deputy Chief of the West Bloomfield Police Department. Curt, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. Good morning.
Well, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us here in the Megacast. Been a couple of days. What a great day. It's been a great day. We talked to Kim Zeile just a minute ago, whose company is making face shields. They were a concept vehicle company in Rochester Hills, and now they're making thousands of face shields every day. One of just a zillion stories that people are working together, and I'm sure you're seeing that as you're enforcing the law in your community in West Bloomfield, that people are doing everything they can to get through this crisis.
You're correct. First of all, it's great to see all these businesses that can contribute to this cause coming together. And I noticed in the Detroit News and the Free Press, CEO Jay Farner from Quicken Loans had a quote in there about now is the time for business leaders and businesses to come together to make these face masks, make those the protection equipment that's necessary for our first responders and our medical personnel. So we've had a great response from not only the community, but from businesses that have even been helping us out here at the police department and the fire department. So it's just been great to see.
Curt, I understand from talking to police departments across our area in Oakland County and beyond the last couple of days that the calls are down. More people are staying at home, and one real clear indication that people are staying at home is there are fewer calls into the 911 center for traffic accidents and just the things that you normally deal with on a day-to-day basis. Are you seeing that as well?
So we are seeing that. I know that you talked to my friend Captain Edwards over at Bloomfield Township, and we're pretty consistent with what's going on at their police department. Our run volume is definitely lower within the police department. We're seeing more family troubles, more domestic violence runs than we have before, and that's to be expected. But certainly our fire runs are remaining high, and they're still remaining the last 2 weeks about 30% over what we were experiencing prior to the COVID-19 crisis. Our fire department has done a great job in upstaffing. They have 7 squads or rescue vehicles in service, and their response times has not been hurt at all through this COVID-19 crisis. They've just done an outstanding job, and hats off to them.
Well, and I'm sure that's the case across the coverage area, too, and talking to other first responders, they got their hands full. I mean, and if you don't know the numbers, all you have to do is do what I've noticed. I mean, I'm hearing way too many sirens. I hear a lot. Tyler, I don't know if you noticed that or not, but
I have too.
I just hear sirens all the time, and I know that each one of those sirens is tragically someone probably on the way to the hospital in a tough situation. So you could take a minute to give them a thought and maybe a prayer, and hopefully they'll get better. But you look at it anecdotally, it's up. And Curt Lawson, no surprise that you have the numbers that say we're awful busy. Are you getting calls into your 911 center that you'd rather not get right now? Is the 911 center having any trouble with people slowing down the other activities that they should be doing?
No, we're holding our own. We got a great group that works inside our communications center. Once in a while we'll get the kind of the silly calls, but we get a lot of calls concerned about people not adhering to social distancing. So we definitely send officers out, and we're doing more of an education for our community, for those that haven't quite got the message yet that, look, you need to keep that 6 foot apart. We're not going to have large group gatherings. We certainly are discouraging that. And if we have repeat offenders, we're going to take some case reports and we're going to forward that up to the prosecutor's office. But so far, we haven't had to do that at all. Everyone's been very cooperative. I've noticed in this community very low traffic, which is certainly unusual for us out on the roads. And everyone is really doing a great job. And we're seeing the curve continue to go up. We have not reached the apex of that curve yet. So now is a very important time that our residents do what they've been doing, even on a beautiful day like this. We really encourage everyone to stay home as much as possible. If you want to go out for a walk and keep that social distancing, get a little bit of exercise, totally fine. But when you're not doing that, we would like you to stay at home. We still have a little bit of a road ahead of us.
Yeah, Curt, and what's really amazing, and you mentioned how beautiful it is today. It's incredible. This has been any other spring day, one of the first 60-plus degree spring days in our area. It would be like Daytona Beach around here. Everybody would be out, they'd be working on their yard, doing their gardening, having a good old time, maybe. I even know some people that might light up their barbecue and actually pop open a 6-pack, safely. But that would be going on all over the place, and we're not doing it. And I know we all feel a little cheated, but I agree. It's amazing. I mean, it is amazing how well people are working together. And I mentioned earlier on the show at the grocery store, I had to go shopping yesterday. At the grocery store, almost everybody had a mask. And you start to talk to someone. I ran into somebody I knew, and I started talking to them. I said, well, you got to keep your distance. I can't get on the radio and tell people to stay 6 feet apart. Have Curt Lawson tell me to stay 6 feet apart from Tyler Kieft, and then, give you a big hug in the grocery store. So everyone's doing a good job, don't you think?
Well, I caught myself just this morning. I went out. We have a water main break over at Maple and Tamerlane, so I went and visited our officers there, and I caught myself almost shaking one of the officers' hands, thanking him for being out there. And I'm like, no, I got to keep my social distance. So, we're still working through the new reality that I really believe that we're going to be living with through at least the end of April. And I know that the governor's stay-at-home order expires on April 13th, but we believe that's going to be extended.
Well, I think it is, and the legislature cleared the way yesterday for her to be able to do that. They've extended her ability to continue her emergency order till the end of April. Hey, we'd like to see all this go away as soon as possible, but you're right. Step one is to get the curve flattened here in Oakland County and in Michigan, and good signs. It's starting to happen elsewhere, so hopefully we're not too far away.
That's right. And if we keep doing what we know to be right, which is stay home, social distance, proper hygiene, we will get through this a lot quicker. If we're going to go outside today, we're all going to get together and we're going to have family barbecues with neighbors. This is going to go on for months. So we really need everyone to adhere to what the governor has asked us to do, which we've done so far here in West Bloomfield. And we're going to get to that apex of the curve and we're going to start leveling out. But we just got to keep holding what we're doing for a few more weeks.
It's hard. It's hard. We understand. It is hard. Passover tonight, really hard for families not to be together. Easter Sunday coming up, again, really hard for families not to be together. I love the Zoom thing and the other things people are doing. We're doing it in our family. You and I are doing it right now, so that's helping. But it's hard, and it's hard on a really nice day like today. But, I'll tell you what, watching the national reports, and we're going to talk to folks at the hospitals over the next couple of days and try and quantify it here. Maybe a little bit too early, but they had to readjust or adjust the national projected death numbers to the coronavirus way down yesterday. And that's great news. And that's happening because of what the people right here in our community are doing. And I can't wait to go to that Oakland County map, that zip code map that we take people to. I see you smiling right now. You've been there. And see those numbers come down. They're going to come down. And you know what? They would be a lot worse, Curt Lawson, if people weren't doing the right thing. So, bravo.
Totally agree with you.
Anything else you want to add? Anything else people need to know?
I just want to throw out that reminder that Maple Road is closed. So if you're going out to one of our local parks and you're going for a little exercise, Maple Road is closed. We hope to get that reopened later this afternoon. West Bloomfield Water and Sewer are working very hard to get that open for us. But besides that, our staffing levels at Town Hall, the police department, the fire department, really throughout West Bloomfield government, the staffing levels are good. Everyone's working very hard, and we're staying healthy.
Are you hearing the same thing, before we say so long, on your conference call with other communities? Because we're talking to a different community every day. Are you hearing the same thing across our region?
I am. We have contingency plans with other police departments, other fire departments to help each other out here in Oakland County. We've been in discussion with the sheriff's department as far as staffing, and right now everyone seems to be doing pretty well and staying healthy. We have some very strict rules as far as how we conduct ourselves. You can't even get into this police department unless you're going through one specific door. We have a checkpoint. We're taking temperatures. We're making sure everyone washes their hands. We're washing all countertops and commonly touched areas numerous times throughout the day. And I think that's being done countywide, and it's really made a difference.
There's only one building that is cleaner and more secure than the West Bloomfield Police Department, and that would be right down the road. We're keeping this place just absolutely perfect, thanks to your good advice. And, hey, everyone's doing it. Everyone is doing it in their home, in their business if they're working. So thanks to you, Curt Lawson. I appreciate it. And thanks for sending an upbeat message with your smile and positive attitude during these incredibly difficult times. Whoever would have thunk? I mean, we knew this was coming, but nothing like this. I mean, when we started talking about this well before this crisis ensued, I was like, okay, yeah, sure, coronavirus. I mean, we never thought that we were going to be in Oakland County and in Detroit in the epicenter of this nationally. I mean, short of New York and maybe Louisiana. I mean, we're dealing with more than anybody else in the country.
That's correct. And, I couldn't be happier with the way local governments have really handled this, in my opinion. We go to a lot of training. We're very fortunate, especially here in West Bloomfield, that we get a lot of training. All of our command staff very educated, both at the police and the fire, and they've conducted themselves very, very well. And I'm certainly speaking on behalf of the township supervisor and the township board that they're very pleased with how things have gone here in West Bloomfield. I mentioned this last time I was on the air. We were the first township in Oakland County to stand up an emergency operations center, and they've done a great job coordinating services, and things have run very, very smoothly. And certainly our residents, if they want any more, any additional information on COVID-19, I know it's everywhere, but what's going on right here in West Bloomfield, feel free to go to the police Facebook, the police Twitter, the township website, or certainly tune in to your wonderful radio station and the Civic Center TV.
All right. Thank you very much, Curt. And by the way, before you say so long, huge thank you to Auburn Hills. You are on the Auburn Hills Facebook page. So, I'm sure the same thing is going on in Auburn Hills and in Troy and in Birmingham and in Bloomfield. I know all you guys talk. And so not only did you get to give us all this good news, you got to do it for everyone in Auburn Hills in addition to West Bloomfield. So nice job.
Well, everyone stay safe, and thanks for having me on today.
All right, Curt Lawson. He is the Deputy Chief in West Bloomfield, one of our fine law enforcement officials here, and as positive of a message as possible. You know what to do. I mean, you know what to do. We've been through this, for, 15 days now. Wash your hands, be careful, distancing, physical distancing, and much more. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. We're going to go through our COVID-19 vocabulary. It gives us a good opportunity to remind you of some of the fundamentals that you need to be engaged in, talk about what we have coming up, and take a look back at what's on our Civic Center TV website and our coronavirus page that is updated virtually every couple of minutes, so I'm sure there's some new information there. I'm Dave Scott. He is Tyler Kieft over there on the other side of the studio, and you are watching and listening to the Megacast on Civic Center TV today, the Auburn Hills Facebook page, and a bunch of other places. Go online at civiccentertv.com, and you can watch our video stream. And thanks for tuning in to our radio stations. 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, and WAHS, 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonae Caldoun. We know that COVID-19 is spreading rapidly across Michigan right now. The most important thing people can do to protect themselves is social distancing. That means unless you are a critical infrastructure worker or going out to get food or medicine for your home, you should be staying at home. Stay home, stay safe, save lives.
Hi, I'm Dr. Faust, the Medical Director for the Oakland County Health Division. The most important thing you can do to prevent the spread of illness is to wash your hands thoroughly and often. Follow these 6 easy steps every time you wash your hands. Step 1, turn on the sink and wet your hands with warm water. Step 2, apply soap to your hands and lather between your fingers, under your nails, and the front and back of your hands and wrists. Step 3, wash your hands by scrubbing them together for at least 20 seconds. Step 4, rinse your hands with warm, clean water. And step 5, dry your hands with a clean cloth towel, a paper towel, or hot air blow dryer. If you're using a cloth towel, make sure to change it often. For handheld faucets, turn off the water using a paper towel instead of your bare hand. Step 6, if you're using a paper towel, throw it away. Practice healthy habits like washing your hands after coughing or sneezing into them to keep you and others healthy. Go to oakgov.com/health or call Nurse on Call at 1-800-848-5533 to learn more.
All right, welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Dave Scott. Tyler Kieft over on the other side of the studio. This is our local informational broadcast to help you get through the coronavirus crisis here in Oakland County. And I'm telling you, it's really important and it's really needed. We are delighted to be doing this every day. It's a privilege to be here. But it is needed, and all you got to do is go to the Oakland County website And we have that on our live video broadcast right now. And go to the Oakland County website and take a look at the zip code map. And then go into the community you're in, or just take a look at the impact by looking at the color-coded map that's there without even having to hit your zip codes. I'm on it on the website right now. And you could take a look and you could see the dark blue areas. That is where we have the most coronavirus activity here in our county. And the areas near Detroit. And I got to honestly say, something that we've been talking about in the national media, and we'll talk about tomorrow here at the show, is appearing to be true here in Oakland County as well, that a lot of the predominantly African-American communities seem to be affected more by the coronavirus, and the African-American community as a whole seems to be having a greater challenge with the coronavirus than other communities. But looking at the map right now, we see that Oak Park, heavy numbers in Oak Park, in Southfield, Lathrop Village, but also portions of Farmington Hills, portions of West Bloomfield, portions of Bloomfield Township and Bloomfield Hills, and then the Pontiac area. So these are the areas that are most hard hit currently in Oakland County, and I could see maybe another area as well in the Troy area. Go to the map, and you can take a look at your community, see where your community lines up, and it's a good tool to go to because it'll give you additional motivation to be careful as you're out in your community. The Detroit situation is even more profound than it is here in Oakland County. But all of southeastern Michigan heavily affected by the coronavirus. And as Curt Lawson said moments ago, the West Bloomfield Public Information Officer, that we have not yet flattened the curve. I think we're getting close, and we're getting close elsewhere, but we have not. So that's just one of the many assets available. You can go to civiccentertv.com/coronavirus and find all this information that's here locally. A little easier than having to go out to Google. You'll find the Center for Disease Control, the State of Michigan site that we're taking a look at right now with the big campaign, Stay Home, Stay Safe, Save Lives, and the latest updates from the state of Michigan, including all the executive orders and other stuff that you need. And I got to hit the button there so you can see it. Thank you, Tyler. But you can see that all this information is right here. And, you know, these organizations, the county, the state, others, have really done a good job in keeping this information up to date. We're just providing links. A ton of local information in Oakland County as well. Go to their site. That's where we've got the numbers that we were just talking about a moment ago. And then here is the Center for Disease Control. No need to have to remember where to find all these or Google them, although that works too. But just go to civiccentertv.com and it's there. And not every, but a ton of the other communities in our service area, we have direct links. So if I click on that Birmingham button, there is the COVID-19 information in Birmingham, all of their emergency management information for people that live in Birmingham. Birmingham, Bloomfield Hills, Rochester Hills, Troy, Pontiac, Auburn Hills, Orchard Lake, Kego, Sylvan Lake, West Bloomfield, and the other communities in our coverage area. Tyler, at the end of the day, Tyler Kieft, at the end of the day, this is a local issue. Because you walk out your door, and there it is. So that's what we're just trying to get down to grassroots level and get the folks the information they need right here.
Yeah, and you have to take it from a community-to-community aspect in order to get the macro solution across the United States and across the state of Michigan down pat and safe. Because if the communities aren't focusing on doing their part, then the state can't focus on doing its part, and the nation can't focus on doing its part.
So here's a clip that the guys, I've not auditioned this yet. It's in the public domain, so we'll play it. Here is a clip of good old Mayor Duggan, our mayor of the city of Detroit, and he is saying in this clip, I suspect, we'll find out in a moment, that the curve is starting to flatten in Detroit. This is a clip that is published by the PBS NewsHour on YouTube. Let's watch and listen.
The doctors assumed they were COVID-19 positive, that test isn't a priority, and so we may not see it until a week later. So the data I'm going to show you is continually in flux and is somewhat out of date. But I think at this point we have enough of a pattern that we can give you an idea what's going on.
So I'm not going to run the whole thing. I didn't realize this is a 30-minute video clip. But in this video clip, I promise you, he's going to say the curve is flattening. And when you have time, if you've not seen it, go to our site. We will put a direct link. In fact, it must already be there. A direct link. Yeah, it is. Right on our website. A direct link. And the summary that our guys put together says Mayor Duggan shows data that the Detroit curve may be flattening. In a press conference, Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan presented data that shows the rate of new coronavirus infections in Detroit appears to be slowing. Great news. And, Curt Lawson couldn't verify that in West Bloomfield and in Oakland County. But that's what the mayor is saying, Tyler.
Yeah, and it's going to be different for every single community. So it's going to be different in Detroit. It's going to be different in Oakland County, Wayne County, Macomb County, Livingston County. But anywhere that we're seeing the curve be flattened is a good sign, because then you can kind of take in as another community, as another county, other places all across the state, what are they doing that's being so effective in curbing the curve from continuing to go up exponentially.
So the big headlines we're watching today on our Civic Center TV website, and these will update right after the show. Michigan looks for help in local May elections. If you want to get involved, Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson is looking to fill election worker seats with younger people. The reason... Is there age? No, it's not age discrimination. She's trying to help. The reason is because many of the past workers have been senior citizens, and they are too vulnerable to work because of COVID-19. The local May 5th elections are still going ahead. We will get a couple of our clerks on the line over the next couple of days and talk about this. But that, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, young folks, you're not going to work. Maybe get in and help with the next election, get a little civic pride. And, I think anecdotally, there's usually a lot of older folks, retired folks that are working elections.
Yeah, I've spoken numerous times on our programming on Civic Center TV and Lakes FM with West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder about this, and they're always looking for more people. They can use more people at the polls. Younger people are great because it's a great resume builder for them. It's good experience, and it's a great way to engage in your community and engage in...
And every young person that's not playing a video game, that just warms my heart. So I'm just picking on you guys. Michigan is the third highest number of cases in the United States. Story there. How about the folks that were saluting Beaumont and Troy? Story about Beaumont Troy's ICU staff gets a 45-foot thank you sign. Nice of folks that did that, put that all together. Yeah, first responders are getting help with their dogs, whether it's a hotel offering a free bed, a coffee shop giving a free cup of coffee, a restaurant offering a free meal. Businesses across Detroit, as you've heard in the show, are stepping up, and now a number of area doggy daycares are offering free boarding for our four-legged friends, for first responders. My favorite thing about the doggy daycares, they all have the cutest names,
They do.
It's like the Pet Palace or something like that, They have these great names. So, awesome. Great work. Be careful about one other thing. We mentioned it earlier on the show, but we're saying one more time. If you're running out of cleaning supplies and you can't get what you need at your store, be careful about the alternatives you're using. Make sure they are safe if you're cleaning in and around your kitchen. You don't want to create another health problem in your home by using something that might get into your food and cause you and your family some problems. And again, it happened yesterday. We talked about it on the show, but we didn't get a chance before we got off the air to make it official, and the state legislature did extend the emergency declaration through April 30th. Governor will weigh in, I'm sure, in the next couple of days and keep us at our homes through April, and then we'll just see. There is a group of lawmakers in Lansing, though, working on putting together a recommendation for the governor on how we can open up businesses once again here in Michigan, and that might be ahead of us, but you got to have a plan, so why not start working on that? All right, what do we got? We got 10 more minutes. It'll fly fast. Tyler, Kieft, let's go through our COVID-19 vocabulary. We do it every day here, and we take a look at the phrases that are impacting us during this crisis, and the one we were just talking about, flatten the curve.
Yeah, that is the community making a concerted effort to reduce the exponential growth of COVID-19 cases.
I sure hope we don't have a new phrase that is something that relates to some kind of a saying that says that after we flatten the curve, that the curve is no longer flat. You know, that's the big concern right now. We'll be talking about that in the next couple of days and weeks as we start to come out of this. Is it going to come back? What do we don't yet have the medications to keep things under control. How's that all going to work? We are counting on our research physicians to come up with the answer to that one. Social, no, not social, no. Physical distancing.
So physical distancing is keeping a distance of at least 6 feet away from another person. It just helps you reduce the chances that if you are carrying the disease, you're not passing it on to them, or if they're passing it on, or that they're not passing it on to you.
I don't hear anyone say fomite transmission.
I haven't heard it in a while, but it is something that is scientifically involved with COVID-19. So you're suggested not to touch your face, and the reason for that is you can pick up the virus off of surfaces. You can pick it up by shaking someone else's hand, by touching something that someone else has touched, and then if you touch your eyes, you touch your mouth, your nose, your ears.
So hard.
That's an easy way to contract the virus.
It's so hard to not do that.
It really
I'll tell you,
is.
the hard thing was going to the store yesterday and trying to avoid fomite transmission. So you go in, you pick your groceries up off the shelf. Well, you got to assume that some diseased person put them there in the first place, or maybe in the transportation, right? So then you take the groceries, your cart, and all that stuff that's got coronavirus all over it, probably, and you check out of the store. The stores are doing much better now with the distance and the shields and everything, and everyone wearing masks. Now you got all those groceries in your car, and you got to take them home, and you got to figure out what to do to get them in your house. Some people are letting them wait 3 days outside, non-perishables. I love what our Larry Nyland does. He just leaves his groceries in the car for a couple of days and then comes back to them. I wiped everything down yesterday. I hope I did okay. But that fomite transmission, that's tough. Happy birthday song.
The happy birthday song is the song that you are suggested to sing twice over while you're washing your hands to get at least 40 seconds.
My hands have never been so clean.
Neither.
Asymptomatic.
Asymptomatic. If someone's asymptomatic, they may be carrying the virus without showing physical symptoms.
As in knowing about all these words, that is the new normal. New normal.
It is an adjustment that is being made to society, everyday society, due to the coronavirus.
We're seeing more curbside testing.
Curbside testing is quick, expedited testing being done by hospitals and makeshift medical facilities to get as many people tested efficiently and results as quickly as possible so that we have a better idea and understanding of who has COVID-19.
Even though it is terribly uncomfortable for me to sit way over here in this side of the console when it's designed to work over there, I am over here in an abundance of caution.
You're taking extra precautions to make sure that if you do hold the coronavirus, that you aren't passing it on to someone else, and to make sure you're not picking it up from another person.
And PPE or PPD?
So PPE is personal protective equipment. You've also heard it PPD, personal protective device. It's much like we talked earlier today about multiple times. That is the gowns, the face masks, the face shields that are being made, much like Prefix, who we talked to earlier, the CEO of Prefix and his company is making for local medical officials. It's necessary that those go to the medical officials, especially those N95 masks and face shields, but people can make their own improvised PPE, such as cloth face masks.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely amazing, the work that's going on at companies right here. And finally, Megacast. What is Megacast?
Yeah. It's not just your regular broadcast or a simulcast of any kind. The Megacast is a highly interactive, multi-community broadcast that involves information and news about COVID-19 in your hometown, whether you're in our 4 main communities that we cover in normal times of Orchard Lake, West Bloomfield, Kego Harbor, and Sylvan Lake, but also our neighbors throughout Oakland County.
All right, wow, that was very good. That's like it was right out of Webster's, Tyler.
Almost.
That was impressive. All right. So that's about it for today. We invite you to tune in tomorrow. I don't have the rundown for tomorrow. We'll have a bunch of interesting guests here with us, and we'll continue to dialogue and try to get to the bottom of what's going on here, continue to keep an eye on the health issues, and share useful information with you from right out of our own community. If you are in the West Bloomfield area today, do be careful on Maple Road between Orchard Lake and Middle Belt, as there is a water main burst there and the road's closed. That should have that fixed up before the afternoon is over. Thank you very much for tuning in all around the area. Again, a huge thank you to all of our outlets. A big nod today to the wonderful people in the city of Auburn Hills who were kind enough to allow our broadcast to live on their Facebook page. We've been streaming it via Facebook Live. We do that at a different page every day. Auburn Hills, you got a challenge because the Walled Lake Schools, last couple of broadcasts on the Walled Lake Schools sites have had over 2,000 people in Walled Lake alone tuning in addition to all of our other outlets. So can't wait to see the metrics from Auburn Hills later on today and see how many of you in Auburn Hills tuned in. Hopefully you found the broadcast very interesting and helpful, and we talked to a number of people right in your community. And by the way, after the interview we did the other day, the parks are definitely open in Auburn Hills. Get out and enjoy them on this beautiful, beautiful sunny day, but do keep your distance, okay? Big thank you to Civic Center TV, the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission, for making all this happen. Go to civiccentertv.com. Go to the coronavirus page for all the news and stories and all the information you need. Go to the Megacast page. You'll see a complete clips and all the highlights of the show, not only today, but for the past 15 days. And then one other thing, Tyler, we could just take a minute and highlight the Carryout Club. If you're looking for a meal in many of our communities, all you got to do is go to the Carryout Club on the Civic Center TV website, and you will find a list of all of the restaurants that are participating in the Carryout Club. We're expanding that list to cover more of our broadcast area, but a lot of really great restaurants. Many of them are going to help you with either your Passover meal, although that's tonight, so we're getting close to the deadline on that, or help you with your Christmas meal, too. So if you need lunch, you need dinner, you want something a little bit different. I've been at a lot of these carry-out stops in Tyler. They're doing a really good job marking different places in front of the restaurant where you can pick up your meals and paying online so you don't have to give somebody your credit card or cash right when you're there at the restaurant.
Yeah, they're being very accommodating with their customer bases. They're working with you. Any sort of concerns that you're having about picking up the food, they're working really closely and being very sympathetic about your feelings on it. And they're also taking their own precautions and protecting their people as well. They're making great strides and great efforts during this time.
All right, somewhere here on my website, I've got the one page that I need, Tyler, but I think I got rid of it. So we'll just be close enough to getting our end time here. But as we say so long, I want to thank our radio stations: 89.3 WBLD Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH the Biff, and thank you to all of you folks for being with us, and a mega cast thank you to WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio, covering so much of our coverage area today, from just a big chunk of Oakland County to a big chunk of Macomb County. We thank Logan, the junior high school student over there, making all that happen, and everyone at the Avondale Community School District for being a big part of it. Thank you very much. Have a great day. We will see you tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock live on all of these radio stations, including Lakes FM, The Biff, and WAHS.